I never imagined a pot roast dinner could split my family apart, but that's exactly what happened one Tuesday night in October. That evening, my mom decided to drop what she called her exciting news, turning our lives upside down. My name is Harper, and up until that fateful night, I had managed to keep our family's chaos relatively contained. At 17, I was old enough to notice the cracks spreading, yet young enough for everyone to assume I needed sheltering. Ironically, they had it backward. I was the one shielding them, particularly my 14-year-old brother Finn. "I've been considering a change," Mom declared, placing her fork down with a precision that sent a wave of anxiety through me. "I'm planning to leave my job at the bank." Dad's fork crashed onto his plate. "You're what?" "My friend Sarah introduced me to a group in Costa Rica who are developing luxury tiny homes," she continued, eyes sparkling with a familiar, ominous excitement. "The potential returns are phenomenal. We could triple our investment in just 6 months." I watched as Dad's expression morphed from confusion to disbelief, then settled into a foreboding glare. "Marlene, please tell me you haven't already—" "Grant, relax," Mom interjected, waving a dismissive hand. "I know what I'm doing. I've thoroughly vetted this." Beside me, Finn fidgeted, his discomfort palpable as he nudged his carrots aimlessly. I gave his knee a reassuring squeeze under the table, our unspoken promise that I'd keep things under control even as my own pulse quickened. "Research?" Dad's tone was dangerously soft, a precursor to anger I knew all too well. "Like your research into that alpaca farm last year, or the mobile meditation bus the year before? Those were different," Mom countered. "This is a legitimate opportunity. They even have a professional website." Dad shoved his chair back. "Jesus Christ, Marlene, how much?" The ensuing silence was suffocating. Mom twisted her napkin into a taut spiral. "I haven't put in any money yet, but..." "But what?" "I took out a loan against my 401k. The pot roast turned to ash in my mouth as Dad's face transitioned from red to white so rapidly I feared he might faint. "You did what?" he gasped. "It's only $30,000, Mom replied hastily. "And once the returns start coming in..." "Returns?" Dad's laugh was hollow, echoing with disbelief. "The only return you're going to see is another bankruptcy filing. Or have you forgotten about 2019? I hadn't forgotten. That summer was etched in my memory, the one where I worked double shifts at the ice cream shop just to afford Finn's school supplies. Mom had the decency to appear ashamed, albeit briefly. "This time it's different," she asserted. "I can feel it. We could finally live the life we deserve, Grant. No more paycheck to paycheck. We could travel, get a bigger house, the life we deserve." Dad stood so abruptly his chair clattered to the floor. "We have a good life, Marlene, a stable life, or at least we did, until you decided to gamble our future away on yet another quick rich scheme." "It's not gambling." Mom's voice escalated in defense. "Why do you always have to be so negative? Why can't you just support me for once?" Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Finn, tears silently cascading down his cheeks onto his half-eaten dinner. Something inside me snapped. "Stop it!" I yelled, slamming my hands on the table, causing everyone to flinch. "Just stop! Look what you're doing to him." Both parents fell silent, turning to look at Finn as if noticing his distress for the first time. Mom reached out to him, but he recoiled, pushing his chair back and sprinting upstairs. The sound of his bedroom door slamming reverberated throughout the house. "I hope you're both proud of yourselves," I said as I stood, my voice thick with reproach. "I'm going to check on him." As I ascended the stairs, I heard Dad's voice, low and grave. "If you go through with this, Marlene, we're done. I mean it this." Mom's reply was muffled as I reached Finn's door, but I knew deep down that this was no ordinary family spat. This was the beginning of the end. And somehow, I had to find a way to keep us all from being submerged in the impending wreckage. The next morning, I awoke to the sound of their hushed, urgent arguing drifting up from downstairs. 3 weeks had passed since Mom's bombshell announcement, and the tension at home had morphed into a palpable, suffocating entity. Lying in bed, I listened to the rise and fall of my parents' voices, a tumultuous symphony against the backdrop of the night until the sound of the front door slamming jolted me awake. In the kitchen, I found Dad gripping the counter, his knuckles white with tension. "Where's Mom?" I asked, though the answer was a foregone conclusion. "Meeting with her investment group." He spat the words as if they were laced with venom. "She's wiring them the first installment today." A sense of dread washed over. "But I thought you told her." "What I think doesn't matter anymore," he interrupted, grabbing his car keys with a resigned sigh. "I'm heading to the shop early. Make sure Finn eats something before school." As he left, I turned to making Finn's favorite breakfast, chocolate chip pancake. That's when I noticed Mom's purse abandoned on the counter, a piece of paper with an official-looking letterhead peeking out. Curiosity overcame me, and I pulled out the letter, my heart pounding with apprehension. I shouldn't have looked, but the damage was done. The letter was from Riverside Bank, dated 5 years ago, informing my mother that due to unauthorized transactions and misappropriation of client funds, her employment was terminated effective immediately. My hands shook as the implications of the letter sank in. Mom had always claimed she left Riverside for a better opportunity at her current bank. Another lie. Is that Mom's stuff? Finn's voice startled me. I turned to see him in the doorway, dressed for school but with the weary eyes of someone carrying too much burden. Just making sure she didn't forget her phone, I lied the word. My phone vibrated with the message from Dad while I was still at school. Check the mail when you get home, looking for an important letter from the bank. When I arrived, I found Mom sitting at the kitchen table, an array of papers spread out before her. She looked up with that manic excitement I'd learned to dread. Harper, perfect timing. Come look at these projections. The development team just sent over the latest numbers and they're even better than we expected. Standing in the doorway, mail clutched in my hands, I hesitated. Among the envelopes was a bank statement addressed to Dad, already open. Did you open Dad's mail? I asked, unable to mask my concern. Mom's smile faltered for just a second. I needed to check something. Besides, we're family. There shouldn't be secrets between us, she rationalized. Yet her words left a bitter taste. Like how you were fired from Riverside Bank? The accusation slipped out before I could rein it in. Mom's expression froze, then contorted into an unfamiliar mask of anger. You went through my purse? Her voice was a venomous whisper. And you went through Dad's mail, I retorted. Why did you lie about Riverside? Her defensive stance softened as she collected her paper. That was different. I was protecting this family, she claimed, her voice thick with exasperation. You wouldn't understand. You're just like your father, so afraid of taking risks, of reaching for something better. Better than what? I challenged, voice rising. We were fine before all your crazy schemes. Mom's laugh then was hollow, void of any joy. Fine? Is that what you want for your life, Harper? To just be fine? To live paycheck to paycheck like your father? Never dreaming of anything more? Her words stung, carrying a weight that anchored in the air between us. Before I could reply, the front door swung open. Harper, did you check the mail? Dad's voice cut through the tension. Mom and I locked eyes, hers not just filled with defiance, but a desperate determination that chilled me. She reached out for the mail. I instinctively stepped back, envelopes pressed against my chest. No more lies, I whispered fierce. Dad stepped into the doorway, surveying the scene. The scattered paper, standoff, and I knew things were about to change. Dad's query broke through the tension, his voice soft yet laden with concern as he eyed Mom's outstretched hand and my defiant stance. What's going on? And just like that, another crack splintered through our family's already fragile foundation, pushing us perilously close to total collapse. Amid these familial tremors, I stumbled upon a revelation I hadn't anticipated, one that came while doing laundry of all things. Hidden beneath a pile of Mom's discarded jeans was a crumpled letter from my university's financial aid office dated just 3 days earlier, announcing that my tuition payment had bounced. My hands shook as I reread the words, realizing the college fund that Dad and I had nurtured over the years, the one Mom had vowed not to touch, had evaporated. I stormed upstairs, driven by a mix of betrayal and urgency, to confront Mom. She was hunched over her laptop, engrossed in her work. What did you do? I demanded. She barely looked up, her focus unyielding. Not now, Harper. I'm in the middle of something important. Her dismissal sparked my anger further. More important than my future? I slammed the letter down on her keyboard. The money's gone, isn't it? For a moment, her fingers paused and she wore a flicker of guilt before her expression hardened. It's not gone. It's invested. The returns will more than cover your tuition and then some. You mean like the returns from those luxury tiny homes? How's that working out? I retorted, skepticism laced. She admitted, there have been some delays, but then quickly added, but Sarah says, Sarah, I interrupted, laughter breaking through, sounding more like a sob. The same Sarah who got you into that pyramid? Dad stood in the entryway, still clad in his work clothes, grease staining his hands. The distress written across my face tipped him off immediately. What happened? He asked. I handed him the letter and watched as his features grew sterner with each line he read. Mom hovered at the top of the stairs, her hands twisting nervously. Grant, I can explain, she began. Explain what? Dad's voice was a deadly whisper. How you stole our daughter's future, or how you lied to my face about the account. I didn't lie, Mom's voice cracked. The opportunity, it was too good to pass up. Once the returns come in, there are no returns. Dad's roar made us both flinch. It's all been a scam, Marlene. I called the bank today. They've never heard of this development company. The website's fake. Everything's fake. Mom swayed, her hand clutching the banister for support. No, that's impossible. Sarah wouldn't. Sarah's gone, Dad interrupted flatly. She packed up and left town last week, along with everyone else involved in this scheme. A heavy silence filled the air. I watched as realization dawned on Mom's face, morphing into a desperate resolve. "We can fix this," she asserted hastily. "I still have access to our emergency fund." "What emergency fund?" Dad's laugh was devoid of humor. "The one you emptied last month?" The floor seemed to fall away beneath me. "What?" I gasped, turning to Dad, who now held sorrow in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Harper. I tried to protect you." He pulled out his phone, showing me the grim reality of our empty bank account. "Your mother has been deceiving us for a long time." "Grant, please." Mom's plea floated down as she descended the stairs. "We can work this out." "No," Dad replied softly, his decision final. "We can't. Not anymore." He turned to me. "Pack a bag for you and Finn. You're both coming to stay with me at the motel." "You can't take my children!" Mom's voice rose in a hysterical pitch. "Watch me," Dad countered firmly. "Harper, go get your brother." As I dashed upstairs, I watched him pack his few belongings, a heavy silence between us. "Harper, about the living arrangements," he began, unable to meet my eyes. "The apartment's small, just one bedroom, and with my work schedule," I forced a smile. "We'll be fine here with Mom, right, Finn?" Finn, curled up in the motel's threadbare armchair, just nodded. We both knew it wasn't true, but what choice did we have? That was 3 months ago. Now, I stood behind the counter at Joe's Coffee, trying to calculate if my tips would cover both the electric bill and Finn's art supplies. Mom hadn't been home in 2 days, chasing what she claimed was a promising lead on a new investment opportunity. "Order up for table 6. Miguel, our cook, called out. I grabbed the plates, nearly dropping them, when I spotted Mom at the table talking animatedly to a man in an expensive suit. "Just need a small loan to get started," I overheard her say as I approached. The returns would be astronomical. The plates clattered onto the table harder than necessary. Mom jumped, finally noticing me. "Harper, I didn't know you were working today." Her smile was too bright, too desperate. "This is Mr. Chin. He's interested in a fantastic business opportunity I found." I glanced at the man, noting the predatory gleam in his eye. "Mom, can I talk to you?" "Now, in the break room," I insisted. Inside, I rounded on her. Are you serious? Another scheme?" "It's not a scheme," she protested, pulling out a glossy brochure. "It's a revolutionary cryptocurrency platform." "Stop!" My voice trembled with frustration. "Just stop. We don't have anything left for you to invest." She looked away, guilt apparent. "Actually, I was hoping to borrow your savings, just temporarily. The returns would more than make up for it." I stepped back, incredulous. "The money I've been earning to keep our lights on and food in the fridge? While you're out chasing get-rich-quick dreams? Don't talk to me like that. I'm still your mother." "Are you?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. "Because mothers don't steal their children's college funds. They don't disappear for days without an explanation. They don't..." The slap that followed caught me off guard. Mom looked as shocked as I felt, her hand still raised in the air. "Harper, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean..." I touched my stinging cheek. "I have to get back to work." That night, I found my savings box empty. The money I'd hidden under my mattress, gone. Even the jar of tips I'd kept in the kitchen was cleaned out. I found Mom in her room, frantically stuffing clothes into a suitcase. "Where is it?" "Mr. Chin's waiting," she muttered, barely glancing at me as she spoke about the deal that would supposedly repay me double, even triple. "Mom, please," my voice cracked. "That money was for Finn's medication, for groceries." She whirled around, her eyes wild with desperation. "Why can't you understand? This is our chance to fix everything." "There's nothing left to fix," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm calling Dad." She was quicker than I anticipated, snatching the phone from my hands and hurling it against the wall. She caught herself mid-sentence, her anger palpable. "I'm leaving. When I come back, you'll see. You'll all see." I watched helplessly as she dragged her suitcase downstairs and heard the front door slam shut. Through the window, I saw her get into a black car with Mr. Chen. My phone lay shattered on the floor, but then Finn's old Polaroid camera caught my eye. Lately, I'd found unexpected peace in capturing moments of beauty amidst our chaos. I picked up the camera, my hand steady despite everything. I took a photo of the empty savings box, another of Mom's ransacked room, and a third of the broken phone. "Evidence," I murmured to myself, unsure of what it was for exactly. Finn appeared in the doorway, his eyes wide with understanding. "She's gone, isn't she?" I nodded, my throat tight with emotion. "What are we going to do, though?" he asked, looking at the photos spread across the bed, the proof of our mother's final betrayal. I felt a shift within me, a hardening resolve. "We're going to survive I declared, reaching for my backup phone, the one Mom didn't know about. It was time to stop shielding her from the consequences of her action. It was time to protect ourselves. We managed 3 days in the house after Mom left. On the fourth morning, I woke to an eviction notice taped to our door. It turned out Mom hadn't paid the rent in months. Pack what you can carry, I instructed Finn, trying to keep my voice steady. Just the essentials. He nodded, clutching his sketchbook to his chest. What about Mom's stuff? He asked, looking back at the chaos she had left. Scattered investment brochures, empty wine bottles, a trail of broken promise. Leave it, I said firmly. The train station was quiet this early in the morning. I counted our remaining money, barely enough for 2 tickets to Dad's city. As we waited on the platform, I scrolled through Mom's recent texts, each message a reminder of the depths of her deceit. I switched off the phone, my hands shaking from the latest barrage of messages from Mom. Sorry about everything. This deal is different though. Just need 2 weeks. Harper, please answer. I can explain. You're just like your father. No vision, no faith. Her last message was a threat sent just an hour ago. I know you took pictures. Delete them or I'll make things very difficult for you both. Beside me, Finn leaned against my shoulder, half asleep as I watched the sun rise over the tracks. That's when I noticed a leather-bound journal wedged between the bench slats. It was Mom's private diary, likely dropped during one of her late-night escapes. Against my better judgment, driven by a need for answers after everything she'd done, I opened it. The early entries were typical, daily frustrations and dreams of a better life. But then I stumbled upon an entry from 5 years ago that chilled me. They don't understand. The money was just sitting there in those accounts, doing nothing. I could have tripled it, made everything better for us. But Grant only sees risk, never opportunity. And now he's poisoning Harper against me too. Sometimes I think they're all conspiring to keep me small, to keep me trapped in this mediocre life. The train's brakes screeched us into reality as we found our seat, but I continued reading, each page pulling me deeper into Mom's descent into delusion. The most recent entry was just last week. Harper thinks she's so clever with her photographs, gathering evidence like her father would. She doesn't realize I'm protecting her from her own limited thinking. When this cryptocurrency deal pays off, she'll thank me. They'll all thank me. Is that Mom? Finn's question snapped me out of my trance. Yeah, I replied, quickly shutting the journal. Does it explain why she left? He asked. No, I lied, tucking the journal into my bag. Some things don't have explanations, Finn. Just then, my phone buzzed with Harper. Finn's voice was small, filled with worry. What if she comes looking for us? I pulled out the Polaroid camera, the one item I couldn't leave behind. Through its lens, I had captured more than just evidence of Mom's betrayals. I had documented our survival. Let her look, I said firmly, snapping a picture of the sunrise through the train window. We're done hiding. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Dad. Almost there, his text read. Elise is making up the spare room. We'll figure this out together. I showed Finn the message, watching as a flicker of hope crossed his face. Then, I took out Mom's journal one last time, tore out the pages we might need as evidence, and discarded the rest in the garbage bin at the end of our car. The train curved north, carrying us toward what felt like safety. In my bag, the Polaroids told our story, not just of betrayal and loss, but of 2 kids who refused to drown in their mother's chaos. Let her come looking. We had our own evidence now, our own truth, and this time we weren't backing down. Living with Dad and Elise should have felt like a victory. Instead, 6 months in, I found myself jumping at every phone call, every unexpected knock at the door. Mom's threats had followed us, evolving from desperate pleas for money to something darker. I was sorting through my latest batch of photos in the community college darkroom when my phone lit up with an unknown number. Your mother's in trouble, a man's voice said. Not Mr. Chen, but someone else. She owes people money, dangerous people, but we're willing to be reasonable if... I hung up, hands shaking so badly I dropped the print I was developing. The image blurred, a shot of Finn at his new school's art show, smiling for the first time in months. Outside the darkroom, my photography professor caught my arm. Harper, about your portfolio submission for the scholarship. I'll have it ready next week, I promised, already heading for the exit. These photos were my only shot at affording next semester's tuition. Dad was trying, but supporting 2 extra people on a mechanics. I looked at my camera, still half full of evidence that could send Mom to prison. Unless I give her exactly what she wants, I said quietly. A clean slate, a fresh start, one last chance to run. You can't, Dad protested. After everything she's done, I'm not doing it for her. I met his gaze, firm and resolute. I'm doing it for us, for our chance to finally be free. My phone buzzed again with another threat. Another demand, but for the first time in months, I felt something other than fear. Sometimes I realized the best revenge isn't punishment, it's peace. I just hoped I was making the right choice. The photography contest exhibition was supposed to be my moment of triumph. Instead, I found myself staring at an empty space where my winning photo series should have been, a note pinned in its place. Backloading doc. Come alone. I knew who'd taken them before I even pushed open the heavy metal door. Mom stood in the shadows, my photographs spread across a wooden pallet like evidence at a crime scene. Beautiful work, she said, touching one of the images, a photo of Finn sleeping on the train. Exhaustion etched on his face. You always did have an eye for tragedy. What do you want? I demanded as she stepped into the light. 6 months had aged her years, her designer clothes replaced by shabby knockoffs, her confident smile now brittle and desperate. Can't a mother attend her daughter's first gallery showing? She retorted. Those photos won the grand prize, I said, maintaining my distance. The scholarship money is exactly what I need. She pulled out her phone, showing me a text message. Mr. Chen's associates are getting impatient. They're talking about involving Finn now. My hands clenched. Leave him out of this. I'm trying to, but I need $30,000 to make this go away. The prize money would cover it. The money's for college, I said firm. For a future you tried to steal from us. I was trying to give you a better future, she said, grabbing one of the photos, one of her ransacked room the night she left. You think documenting our failures makes you noble? This art of yours, it's just revenge wrapped in pretty paper. You're right. I moved close, her expression shifting as I spoke. It started as revenge. I wanted evidence, proof of everything you'd done. But then I realized that, she asked, her voice laced with a mix of curiosity and dread. These photos aren't just about you anymore, I said, picking up another image. This one of Finn's first art show at his new school with Dad and Elise cheering in the background. They're about us, the family we built from the wreckage you left behind. She reached for the photos, but I was quick. The police are already here, I said quietly. They're investigating Chen's investment scheme, and these photos, they're copies. The originals are safe with the DA's color drained from her face. You wouldn't. Actually, I would, I replied, pulling out my phone to show her the text I'd sent earlier. But I'm giving you a choice. The police are watching every exit except the back alley. You have 5 minutes to disappear for good this time. You're blackmailing your own mother? She laughed, a hollow sound masking her fear. I'm freeing us both, I asserted, gathering the photos and leaving just one behind. The last picture I had taken of her, sleeping on the couch before everything fell apart. Take it. Remember what you lost, then let us go. She stared at the photo, tears finally breaking through her carefully maintained. Like this, I declared, lifting the camera to my eye. Smile, everyone. The flash brightened the gallery, freezing a moment not of loss, but of discovery. A family formed by choice, grounded in resilience, and bound by an unconditional love. Revenge, I realized, isn't about the downfall of your adversaries. It's about creating something they can't tarnish. 4 years after that defining night at the gallery, I stood in my cap and gown, proudly holding my degree in photography, while Dad captured the moment with the very Polaroid that started it all. You're monopolizing the camera, Finn teased, his height now surpassing mine, his hair a vibrant shade of blue echoing his artistic flair. I'm capturing this moment right, he insisted. Meanwhile, Elise, ever the keeper of memories, handed me an envelope she'd retrieved from our mailbox. The handwriting was unmistakably Mom's, the postmark from Costa Rica, a place with no return address. Over the years, such enigmatic tokens had arrived sporadically. Birthday cards, articles about my exhibitions, even a crumpled $5 bill celebrating Finn's first art award. Though unsigned, their origin was always clear. Should I toss it? Dad offered, ever protective. I opted to keep it, sliding the envelope into my gown. Later, at our favorite diner, the same one that supported my early days balancing school and shifts, we celebrated. My latest collection, Fragments of Home, was soon to debut in a prominent New York gallery. Remember when you used to sneak photos between serving tables? Our regular waitress joked as she delivered a round of fries. Now you're practically a celebrity, Finn scoffed playfully. Let's not inflate her ego too much. She still thinks her snapshots of my awkward phases are high art. Amid the laughter, I pulled out the envelope from Mom. The table fell silent as I revealed its contents. A single photograph from our last full family dinner, taken before our lives diverged. On the back, Mom had penned, "You were right. Some things are worth more than money." I'm sorry I learned too late. Dad looked on, a mixture of curiosity and concern in his eyes. Around us, Finn's playful smirk faded into thoughtfulness, and Elise offered a supportive smile. Then, setting aside the past, encapsulated in that photo, I adjusted my camera. Actually, yeah, I said, stepping back to include everyone in the frame. Let's capture this new chapter. As the shutter clicked, it captured more than just faces. It captured the essence of resilience, the brightness of our journey forward, untarnished by the shadows of what we'd left behind. Later, in my dark room, I developed 2 copies of that final photo. one for my wall and one to send to a post office box in Costa Rica. It wasn't exactly forgiveness, but rather a testament that broken things can indeed become beautiful in their own way. That night, as I sorted through old photos for my upcoming exhibition, I found the final shot from the gallery confrontation 4 years ago. Mom's silhouette disappearing into the alley, fleeing consequences one last time. I titled it Escape Velocity, symbolizing the speed needed to break free from gravity's pull. My phone buzzed with a message from my agent about the New York show. They were curious about the theme of the exhibition, glancing at the wall of my studio where hundreds of moments were displayed in careful chronology: the dinner that started it all, the train ride to safety, Finn's first art show, Dad and Elise's wedding. Each image marked a step away from what was broken towards something stronger. I typed back my response: Reconstruction, a study in second chances. Then, I picked up Mom's latest letter, adding it to my collection, and turned off the light. Tomorrow, I'd start packing for New York. Finn had already claimed the spare room in my new apartment, eager about art schools and fresh beginnings. Some might call it running away, similar to what Mom did, but I understood the difference. She ran to escape her problems. We were running toward something better, toward the future we'd built from the pieces she left behind. The revenge I once craved had transformed into something far more profound: the power to choose our own story, to capture beauty in the aftermath of chaos, to find family in the people who stay. As I locked up my studio, I passed the first photo I'd ever taken, the shot of the empty savings box that started it all. Next to it hung my latest work, a picture of our laughing family at the diner, with an empty chair at the edge of the frame representing both an absence and a possibility. Some stories don't end with justice or revenge. They conclude with reconstruction, with the quiet victory of building something new from the ruins of what was lost. And sometimes that's enough.